gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Subscribe.
Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded, episode 35 of season 2. Let the games begin. I am your host, Eric. My main man right over there. Ron, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
All right. I'm looking forward to unfolding a lot tonight on today's episode. The sports world continues to amaze me each and every week as we never have a lack of stories to cover. So pretty excited to see what we come up with tonight. Really good show coming for you guys. So anybody out there that's live, make sure you join in, participate. We'd love to get some fan participation. It always makes the show go a little quicker for us. But we're going to start off with our leadoff story, and that's we're going to bring him up. Donovan Mitchell, he was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a big move because a lot of expectation was that he was going to New York. How does this change the Eastern Conference in your eyes?
Well, it puts Cleveland in a nice little spot. They probably moved up a few places in the standings, for now anyway. You know, I think they have a nice little team over there. I like this move for Cleveland. You know, it's going to give them a direction in the playoffs.
Yeah, I look, honestly, they overachieved last season. Darius Garland became a all-star, really a solid leader. Now you add a Donovan Mitchell to that, along with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. I really like the foundation, those starters. But even their roster depth when it comes to the bench, Robin Lopez, Kevin Love, Carlos LeVert, and Ricky Rubio. Like, these are all solid guys that can honestly contribute and make some moves. Now, and you just added a guy who averaged almost 26 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists last season.
Yeah, you're putting a dare I say a blue chip on the starting lineup for this team, which basically puts some teams on notice that made the playoffs that it isn't going to be a cakewalk, you know, when you're playing Cleveland this year.
Yeah, look.
Like, truthfully, I still don't have them ahead of those elite teams like Boston, Philadelphia, Miami,
Milwaukee.
I knew there was somebody I was forgetting that was actually ahead of those guys, but I think they're a solid 5 or 6.
Yeah, so they finished 9 games out of the 1 seed last season. So I started to do some research, looked at some of the teams. You mentioned 4 of them. I don't think, to your point, they're ahead of them, but they're probably better than Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So they move ahead of Atlanta. Toronto, I could see them moving ahead of Toronto. Chicago, because we just haven't seen that team together enough. I mean, they're more injury prone than anything. So to your point, the only team, we forgot Brooklyn.
Well, that's the wild card in the whole thing, you know. We don't really know what their direction is going to be. Now, it seems like they're going to have Kevin Durant there, and probably Kyrie and
possibly Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ifs with Brooklyn.
There is a lot of ifs. That's why I said a solid 5 or 6, because we really don't know what Brooklyn is going to do. I don't even think they know what they're going to do, to be honest with you.
So on the other end of this, though, we've got to look at Utah. Danny Ainge, typical Danny Ainge style, creating a lot of draft picks, moving around a lot of players. There's still some moves that he says he may do, but they've built themselves a nice little team. even with all these moves, I mean, in this deal alone, Laurie Marketing, Ochi Agabai, and Colin Sexton, who agreed to sign a 4-year, $72 million extension to stay in Utah, some solid plays, but also got 3 unprotected first-round draft picks in 2025, 27, and 29, and then they can swap 2 picks in 26 and 28. So you look at the amount of draft picks he's accumulated since he's got Mitchell and Gobert to go elsewhere, 13 first-round draft picks for the next 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's the theory is great. And they did get some good young players back, for those all-stars, basically. Yeah. Look, this is what he was going to do. We all knew he was going to do it, especially those of us familiar with him in Boston. He was going to break this team down and get guys that he wanted and basically start over and try to get those guys in the draft that, could be, the future of this team.
Now, do honestly any of us believe, though, he scored that year with Boston where he had the 1 pick, trades down, Marquez Fultz was not what we expected, and Jason Tatum fell in Boston's lap. That's a big ask. How long would you give it before you'd say this is a failed experiment?
Well, I mean, it's going to be hard to see because we don't know where these teams are going to fall when they get their draft picks. My guess is they're not going to have very high picks. The Cleveland one could be somewhere in the middle, but they're not going to have really that great of picks. And I don't see them switching in those years because I think they're going to have the better draft pick than what they're getting back, to be honest with you. So I don't know if this is really going to work. They might get some decent players, but they're not going to have that stud. And they're going to have to probably sign somebody to bring them over when they do think they have some pieces in place.
You lose 2 all-stars. I mean, realistically, you've got to expect that there's going to be a decline. I'm sure the fans understand where he's going, but I would give this about 3 years. And if they're not competitive in 3 years and these draft picks aren't panning out, I could see the fans honestly turning really quick and being or questioning these moves and why we did them. Especially if you see a Cleveland get to the playoffs and go far, or a Minnesota go far, and those 2 players are a key part of that, then you got to really question, why wouldn't we have just brought in some players to Utah to make us, become the legitimate chip in the West?
Yeah, I think that Minnesota team is going to be the one to make people question it. And granted, they got a lot in return for Gobert. Like, I think it was too much, to be honest with you. I'd be hesitant to do that trade for Kevin Durant, let alone Gobert. Yeah. 4 first-round picks. I mean, you're all but saying, okay, we're not going to be competitive, 6 years from now. So, but it is a young team, and that Minnesota team, I like the way they've built it, and I think they're going to be a handful. And I think they could get to the finals in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I agree with you. A very, very competitive team. Again, the West is still, to me, easier or an easier path than it would be in the East. So I could definitely agree with you there. Ron, let's talk some NFL. And we've got Russell Wilson. We're going to bring him up on the screen. He inked a new deal, extending his contract with the Denver Broncos. Do you agree with the deal?
For the Broncos, yeah. I mean, what the going rate is for quarterbacks at this point.
Yeah, I think the 3rd highest guaranteed contract now.
Yeah,
5 years, $245 million, 165 guaranteed.
Like, I don't believe I'm not even sure he's in really the top 10 quarterbacks.
Wow.
In the league.
Wow. I can't
say what?
Yeah.
Top 10.
But I get why they're paying him. I mean, but like look,
So,
there's quarterbacks that I take way ahead of him.
here's my only question to you. If it was you and he hasn't played a single down in the regular season for you, and we don't know the makeup of this team, we know the AFC West is extremely difficult. You're locking yourself in for the next 5 years with a quarterback who's 33 now. So, again, we'll be pushing close to 40. I guess we're all on this Tom Brady, you can play till you're 45, 50 mode now as a quarterback. I would question that signing him to this big deal with the understanding that I don't even know what I've got on the field yet. Like, I don't know what's going to happen once he takes the field. Is this team going to be successful?
Well, in defense of that, look, he's not going to be the reason why they fail. I don't think so.
I understand
unless
that,
he
but
gets hurt. Unless he gets hurt,
yeah, but if they're a last place team for 2 years in a row,
and they could be,
and now you invest all this money, you can't bring players in because now with the salary cap and his cap hit, I think he's going to be $50 million after the next 2 years. Once these next 2 years of his original deal, he's going to be they're going to be on the hook for $50 million a year.
Look, you just don't know what's going to happen. Look, that division is going to be log jammed every year.
It's brutal.
Like I said, I don't mind the deal because you're giving it to a proven commodity in the NFL. Okay, so he has a Super Bowl win. Should have been 2, but that goes without saying. Run the ball. That's what they should have did.
That's all right.
Look, but he's a proven commodity. He's a winning quarterback. He is not going to be the reason why they come in last place if they come in last place. He's not going to be the reason unless he gets injured.
I would say this. If you look at New England's dominance for those 20 years Tom Brady was here, none of those other teams had a quarterback that could produce.
Right.
He's in a division now where Patrick Mahomes is going to be relevant for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert's going to be relevant for the next 10 years. Maybe Derek Carr another 5. So now all of a sudden you're giving this guy 5 years, and you're not guaranteed that he's going to be the best quarterback in your division anytime during this contract.
He's not the best quarterback in his division.
They did the same thing with Peyton Manning. Yeah. And again, look at the end of Peyton Manning's career.
And look, it's very feasible that this team does come in last in that division. It's very feasible. But then next year, it's very feasible that they could win the division. So, it's a toss-up in this division, and it's going to be a gut-wrenching season for the whole division. And look, everybody knows that probably the best division in football is that division.
Without question.
Without question, right? So if you put any one of those teams in just about any other division, there's a good chance that they come in first or second and they will make the playoffs, right? Well, this division could just beat up on each other, and you might get one team that comes out of that division because everybody, if they all go 500 against each other, you're looking at 6 losses right there.
Yeah. Look, I agree with you. To me, this was a PR move. There's one thing that changed with Denver this year. They got new ownership.
Yeah.
They wanted to have a face to know for the next 5 years, look, we're going to be okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you don't have a solid quarterback, your teams aren't successful. So I agree with that, why they did it on that aspect. I would just question again, giving money up front like that without seeing him actually play a down for my team.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not worried about the quarterback himself. But you got to just wonder, with all 4 teams just going all in, which is very odd for one division to do. Because as soon as somebody you see go all in, it's almost the other It's almost the other direction for the other teams, And you see this. Okay, so Dallas is in, and then Philadelphia just went all in, and now you see Dallas kind of like, well, this is it. This is our basically last chance, and Jones is going to clean house if they don't probably win the Super Bowl, because this is it. This is your last chance, because if Jalen Hurts puts in, at least a slightly above average season, that team's going to the playoffs. So, that could really derail Dallas. And in this division, you're looking at 4 teams that are just going to be like hurting each other.
Yeah, it's almost like you could accept losing the division because of the quality of teams in this division versus some of the other ones.
Yeah,
to your point, like
two of these teams are not going to make the playoffs.
Cowboys would expect to win that division. Philly could derail that.
Yeah.
But the other 2 teams in that division, you wouldn't expect to do that.
No.
But here in this division, if Denver finishes last or first, it wouldn't be a surprise.
Right.
So, I get where you're going with that. So in another baffling situation to me, Jimmy Garoppolo has reworked his contract and will remain with the San Francisco 49ers now as their backup quarterback. How do you think this affects the team?
I think the team is loving it.
Oh, it's a great move for the team.
Look, this just leads me to believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is not ready with that injury. This is the only explanation why I feel Jimmy Garoppolo did this. Because he knows he's not ready to be a starter yet because of that injury.
It could be.
And he knows it's probably going to be a few weeks that way, until he's full strength. Because he's just healed from it. And he's just coming back. So he hasn't even really done his workouts. So he's not ready to start. So,
look, the market dried up faster than I think he expected it to.
I still think that there was teams interested. It's just that
they didn't want him at the price he was going to be.
Right.
So
right.
It was either get released and you're not guaranteed what you're going to get, or you take this deal, which is guaranteed money, a lot of incentives.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're on the playing field. So here's my question to you, though, Ron. How long is Trey Lance going to look over his shoulder before he has to start to worry? If they go 1-3 to start the season, Jimmy Garoppolo is your starting quarterback going forward?
I would think so.
So it's almost like you put so much pressure on this kid now, who you say you're putting your entire franchise his hands in, and you're saying this was my guy.
I don't like how San Francisco handled any of this at all. They are just lucky that Garoppolo had surgery. They are lucky.
Yeah, because he would have been
Because if he was ready, he was gone. He was gone. And I think Garoppolo knows that he's not ready yet. And, they're going to, teams are going to want to see him throw and do all the things necessary to trade for him. But they wouldn't want to get him at what he was making before he reworked his contract. And that might be why he reworked his contract. But it also has a no trade clause in, so that way he can decide if he wants to go to that team or not. So he'll take a look. So if Seattle comes calling, which in that division they might not, because they don't want to trade within their division. But if Locke is terrible, then they're going to have to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
So
and Jimmy Garoppolo is off the table.
Right. So, and then 4 weeks from now, he'll probably be ready.
I'll ask you this question, then, Ron. Joe Montana, backup quarterback, was Steve Young. They wanted to get Steve Young in. But how many games did Steve Young win, or championships did Steve Young get his team to before he took over for the 49ers?
I don't. Yeah,
Or
I don't recall him winning. Did he win any?
he won
What
a
was his
title
record?
after once Montana was gone.
No, I know he won a title after, but I'm talking about in that
No,
first season. Did he
no,
how many games did he win? Did
no.
1 or 2?
I don't know. All I will say is this: Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers was his backup quarterback. How many games did Aaron Rodgers win for the Green Bay Packers or get him to the championship game?
Yeah,
Right now, you've got a backup quarterback that Trey Lance has to look at and say he's going to a Super Bowl, and 2 out of the last 3 years is going to the NFC Championship game. That's a lot of pressure.
it is. It is.
And
Let
I
me
think
ask you.
this is
Let
going
me
to
ask you
derail
this
this kid's
question.
career.
Let me ask you this question. Drew Bledsoe, his backup was Tom Brady.
Yeah.
How many championships did Tom Brady bring him to when he was the first named the starter?
0. No, and I get where you're going with this.
No,
but
no,
what
no,
I
no, no. It was 1. He won that year. He
Well, he
took
did
over.
win, and then they traded Drew Bledsoe right after the season. But the point would be is if Tom Brady had won that championship 2 or 3 years, and now you tell Tom Brady you're going to back up Drew Bledsoe, there would have been some animosity there. There has to be, because you're saying I won it.
Yeah.
I know I'm clearly better than the guy in front of me. Why would they start? I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how the dynamic of a quarterback who's gotten you to a Super Bowl, 2 NFC championships.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it was a long time. It was last year. It was last
With a
season.
721 win percentage?
Yeah,
Is that what it is? 721?
You know what I mean? And it's last season. It's not like, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo came back after 5 years and he's backing up Trey Lance. And, now there's the last season's starting quarterback who got to the NFC championship game is now the backup for a quarterback who's basically started like 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, this is a team that decided, hey, we're going to win less games this year, but we want to get our starter in there.
Right? This is something we've never seen.
Makes no sense.
I can't wait. This is why let the games begin, Ron, because I can't wait to see these games.
This is why I'm hoping San Francisco has a miserable season.
Oh, boy. I don't think that'll happen, though. I really don't. They're loaded. They are loaded. It's just how quick do you pull the trigger on this Trey Lance situation? If he's successful early, great. If he's not, 4 games in, maybe you see Jimmy Garoppolo as a starting quarterback and he gets him to the playoffs again. Great discussion, my friend. Let's go on to some triple play. This one was a tough one. And it's episode 35. So we decided 35 years ago, these 3 players were drafted in the NBA draft, 1987. They're all now the all-time leading scorers in that class. So these are the top 3 scorers in that class from 1987. And that would be
what league?
NBA, my friend.
Okay.
Reggie Miller, David Robinson, and Scottie Pippen. We need to decide which one we're going to start, which one we're going to bench, and which one we're going to cut. You are first this week, so have at it.
Okay, so this was difficult.
It was.
And I'm still not even sure I have it right. I'm still not even sure. So where do I even start? So I got David Robinson as my starter.
Supposed to have a starter. Good job. That's the way we start this. Yes, good job.
21 points, 10 rebounds, 2.5 assists. His numbers are ridiculous. 10 All-NBAs, 10 All-Star games.
Yep.
A scoring title, a rebound title, a blocking title, 2 championships. 8 all-defensive teams.
Yep. You know how I love that stuff.
A Rookie of the Year, and 1 MVP. Coming off the bench has to be Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
16.1 points, 6.4 rebounds per game, which is very good for his position.
Yep.
5.2 assists, also very good. 7 All-NBAs, 7 All-Stars. So 3 less than Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Robinson's neighborhood.
10 All-Defensive team. No MVPs. Didn't get Rookie of the Year. no scoring titles, rebounds, or block titles.
He had some other guy on his team that kind of took away some of that.
Right. So he has 6 championships, and being the second man on that team, he's earned those 6 championships.
Without a doubt.
And and you know how I am with championships. That was tough to put Scotty number 2, and I did it because David Robinson was always the focal point. He was always the guy. Now, I looked at the numbers after Jordan left. When you look at the numbers of Scottie Pippen, his numbers tumbled in the years following. And so that was kind of alarming to me. So I actually discredited him for it. I actually originally had Scottie Pippen as my top spot.
It's an interesting take. I like it.
And because it could have been his team afterward, it didn't work out that way, and he was never the same player again. And
there was always a famous situation that happened when Jordan wasn't in the league, and they were going to give Tony Kukoc the final shot, and Scotty refused to go in the game.
Right. And so
he wanted to be the number one guy, and he knew no matter what, when Jordan was there, he was always going to be the shadow. Always.
Yeah. But I mean, he was a great player, but he completely fell apart after Jordan left, to be honest with you. Like, he had a pretty decent year, the following year, but his numbers tumbled. And he wasn't really the same Scottie Pippen that you saw when Jordan was playing. And therefore, I knocked him down and put David Robinson at number 1, even though those 6 championships are there for Scottie. But David Robinson never really yielded his numbers.
Yeah.
His numbers stayed there. Even with the arrival of Duncan. And that to me says a lot about the Admiral. It says a lot. So and then Reggie Miller, who really didn't compare to either of the two. And I love Reggie Miller as a player. I actually like him more than Scottie Pippen as a player.
Yeah.
But he just didn't, and yes, he is.
He really is. Does a great job.
But he just didn't bring enough to the table. And, I mean, that has a lot to do with, like, the team around him. It was a good team.
Yeah.
But he made them better.
Without a doubt. Agreed. So I will say I had it exactly the same way. I saw it exactly the same way. I thought Reggie was an easy cut.
Yeah.
Same points. The only thing I liked about Reggie, obviously the 3-point shooting, almost 40% for his career.
Shot.
So you think about how great he was as a 3-point shooter. And we look at Steph Curry now. Reggie Miller started that whole 3 point shot in the NBA where it started to become the norm.
Imagine if he was playing today.
Oh, and that's all they do is throw 3. He'd be throwing half courts as well.
Yeah.
That's what they do now.
I think Reggie Miller would be the guy in the league right now.
Yeah.
He would be the man.
David Robinson, just solid all the way wrong. 51.8% field goal percentage as well. The man hit half the shots he took.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong there. If I want a guy starting for me, I want to know, look, you're going to make 1 out of every 2 shots. I'm good with that. And then to your point, Scottie Pippen, that all defense, 10 of them.
Yeah.
If I got a guy coming off the bench, shut this guy down. He's killing us right now. Scottie could do that. So I like where you went with that. That was great. Good job. That one's good. You did all right.
You did all right. I always do all right.
All right. Let's talk some NBA since we're on the topic. And we're going to bring up this man's picture. And as Celtics fans, how excited were we to see Danilo Gallinari become a Boston Celtic? Well, you may not see it this season now that he's out probably most of the season with a torn ACL in his left knee, which he injured during a FIBA International World Cup tournament for Italy. How do you think this affects the Boston Celtics' chances of getting back to the finals run?
Well, it definitely puts a little problem with that, but I mean, they have a good enough team and they have a good enough defense to get back there.
They picked
You
up
know.
Brogdon. They picked up Gallinari. It was supposed to be such a big piece coming off the bench. These two guys were going to be
Yeah.
those bench guys that were going to contribute. That was the struggle for Boston in the postseason. They got no play from their bench.
Right. It was spotty.
Started to nothing.
You know, they had some guys that gave a good game. You know, like probably each one of them had one good game in the playoffs.
Well, get ready to see a lot more Grant Williams because they're saying with this injury, they're probably going to re-up Grant Williams to make sure that he's around for a couple more years.
Yeah, he's got to play better, though. He's got to play better in the playoffs.
That's what we got. So Gallinari, 34 years old. He tore his knee back in 2013, Ron, and he missed the entire season. So that's a little nerve-wracking as well because how quick can you recover from the same knee? They're saying it's a 6 to 12-month process.
Yeah.
We just signed him 2 years, $13.2 million. I think it was a player option for year 2. So I could see that, you know, him picking it up makes sense for him. But the Celtics have the opportunity to designate a player exception to replace him about $3.2 million, either a player in a trade or sign a free agent. How much of that do you think can help them?
Well, it can help them. I mean, it can't hurt. You know, you get a little bit of extra spending money to try to fill a void, and they might be able to pull something off. You know, they might be able to go grab somebody and fill that void.
This is where it hurts them too, because the 3-point shooting he's 38.2% in his career, almost 40%. The man can hit threes. He averaged 11.7 points, 4.7 rebounds, 1.5 assists per game last season.
Yeah.
He would have been on a better team, more opportunities, especially what Boston wanted was a solid 3-point shooter. I think this hurts them, especially when we start to see what Brooklyn can be, what Philadelphia can be, Cleveland with this move with Donovan Mitchell. Boston may be, and Milwaukee gets Chris Middleton back. Healthy.
Yeah, that's what worries me. Is the series with Milwaukee?
They needed a bench. They needed guys that could come off the bench and honestly contribute. And I don't know now with this loss how much. To your point, if one guy gets hot every so often, it's not enough to get him back.
No.
So,
but the Celtics will probably make another trade and probably pick up somebody that can shoot off the bench.
If you were the Boston Celtics organization, how would you feel that it was during an international tournament and not actually during the regular season?
Look, we had talked about this. Was it last week or the week before? When last week when Chet was hurt, in that stupid tournament. Enough with these stupid, whatever it is. It's like it's ridiculous. The NBA players should not be playing in these games unless you're trying to earn a spot on a roster. That's the only look. I do not want my good players playing in other tournaments unless it's the Olympics. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want my players even going anywhere near it. Because there's too much that can go wrong. Like imagine if not only Chet got hurt, if LeBron got hurt in that game.
Oh yeah,
in that same play.
Yep.
It could have easily gone the other way, and believe me, LeBron does not need to miss any more games.
And the way I look at it, Italy, whoever your best player is, if he's NBA, they need to send him to Boston. That would be the only fair trade in this deal because we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're in trouble.
Let's talk some trouble, but
we're in trouble.
Yeah.
I think we're in trouble. Major League Baseball time, my friend.
Oh boy.
Got the Dodgers who are just on fire, continue to lead the league in wins, but they
also continue to lead the league in salary.
Yeah, well, that it helps.
When you get all the best players, it's pretty hard not to succeed.
You should. Most of the time you should. But Tony Gosselin, they just placed him in the IL. Should we be concerned about the recent injuries to their starting pitching? or at least their pitching staff in general?
Well, I mean, it's
This
that
could
time of the
derail.
year where it could affect them come postseason. If these injuries linger into the postseason, it will definitely hurt them because you're looking at some great pitching on those other teams, namely New York,
The Mets, yeah, who are getting healthy now.
Atlanta, St. Louis. These teams have some great pitching, and if you don't have your starting pitching in there for postseason, you're not going to win the postseason.
So Kershaw just came back, pitched recently, I think, against the Mets. So again, he may be ready if he can, stay healthy for the postseason. Timetable is going to be crucial here because you only got about 30 games left. You want this guy to come in a couple starts prior to. You don't want him coming back from IL and then great into the postseason. That's going to be critical.
Right.
But Julio Arias, 14-7 right now. Tyler Anderson, 13-3. They've got some solid starting pitching. Kershaw back. I think they're okay there. The key though to them is, and honestly, how do you not win when you're the number one batting average team in the league at 261? You have your number one in RBIs at 661. You're fourth in hits with 11,058, and you're fifth in home runs with 170.
Yeah, Mookie Betts is just tearing it up.
Right. So you think about the fact that they're going to put up runs no matter who's in there. They're going to be able to hit no matter who's pitching. So again, if these pitchers, well, they did struggle against that.
Come postseason, I'll take DeGrom and Scherzer. I'll take that.
No, I agree with you.
I mean, that's a 1-2 punch that is second to none.
No, and they just proved it, right? They beat them 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
So again, that's the only team I really feel could give them a hiccup. And we talked about that before. The starting pitching for New York, if healthy, has an opportunity to shut that lineup down. But let's talk about your favorite team, because I know how excited you were. And I said, I got to let Ron have a show. That's my new thing. Ron's rant. And so you're going to get it to be able to do this because the Boston Celtics, we're going to bring, I know how much you love them. Alex Cora back next season. Cham Bloom will be back next season. Your thoughts on the Boston Red Sox bringing back these two crucial pieces for the upcoming 2023 season?
Okay. First of all, we'll start out with the manager.
I'll give you a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
Like, he can't even get these guys to play anymore. Already. Like, they've already tuned him out. Like, J.D. Martinez has been horrible this year. Horrible. He has lost his power. He's lost his ability to hit at this point. And just the way he uses the lineup, when you got a guy like Arroyo, who is probably the best hitter on the team currently, with how well he's been playing, and you can't find a spot for him because you put in JD Martinez as a DH, who has done nothing but strike out in just about every big moment they've had in the past month. He has made all the wrong decisions on who to start, when to pinch hit, and it's just not working. It's just not working. The players aren't responding. Like, when you have this payroll, you should be able to respond. And I look at the players that they have, and there's no excuse for them to be losing to really bad teams. They had to pull one out from behind last night just to beat Texas. They gave up 8 runs to Texas, who is just dreadful. Now that goes without saying. Okay, so maybe he has some skills at managerial, and whatever. maybe he hasn't won a legit season either. There's that. But Bloom, as a GM, is just dreadful. Dreadful. The worst GM in the league. The worst. And I'll tell you, there's at least, 20 teams. 20 teams that would kill to have the payroll expenses that he has. Would kill. It would make any team be a contender. And here they are floundering in last place in that division. They can't even beat Baltimore. And Baltimore traded away their good players. They can't even do that.
Yep, they're in last. They're currently in last in AL East. Yep.
It is just awful. Like, they have no direction. With that payroll, you expect a team to be put on the field that can contend. You got a guy down in the minors who's sitting there, Karras, he's a first baseman. Isn't that what they've been needing all year? Is a first baseman? And they haven't brought this guy up? What is wrong with you as a GM? That along with, okay, let's sign another shortstop that we have Bogarts there. Let's sign another shortstop for a big contract and play him at second when we have Arroyo that can play second base. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm not getting on the player that Story is, but when you have a second baseman that can hit, why are you going out and getting a second shortstop and playing him at second base when you could have either A, gotten a legit first baseman or an outfielder, and instead we get Franchi batting .221. Whether he plays first base or right field, it's just a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And whether or not he's going to even drop an easy pop-up or whatever. He's terrible. Terrible. They finally sent Duran down, who clearly wasn't ready to come on to the team. But why do we need an outfielder? Why do we need that? No.
So, I will say this, Ron. I'm going to contradict you in one aspect. If you look at some of the numbers as a team, they're fifth in batting average, 10th in RBI,
it's
19th in home run. So you're right with the power. They've lost some power. 25th in stolen bases, so obviously speed. They are first in Major League Baseball in hits. They have the most hits in Major League Baseball.
Look, timely hits. Look, they'll get a bunch of hits. They left the bases loaded again last night.
I understand
with one out.
What I'm saying is some of their talent's there. They've got to tweak some things, especially in pitching. 25th in ERA, 18th in saves, 17th in strikeouts, and they need to improve in the field. 16th, the middle of the ground.
When look
Michael
at those
Walker's
hits,
your best pitcher, there's a problem. Michael Walker's your best pitcher.
That's a big problem.
There's a big problem.
Look, that hits thing is all fine and dandy when you're not getting tossed out, trying to get to third or trying to get to second or trying to get to home on a play that you can't do it. They've had terrible base running. They've had, it's going from first to second, then another base hit, and they're not getting the right things.
I'm not questioning that part of it, but I wouldn't say it's so much Bloom as it is more Cora. I think Cora is the problem. Like, if I was going to get rid of somebody, there's talent on there because they're producing numbers. He's making poor decisions managing this team to get them to score.
Oh, absolutely.
Or to get them to pitch better or putting their pitches in better situations. So Cora, to me, is the biggest problem.
When you have nobody out, a man on first, and Duran is batting, he's batting like .220, and he's a good bunter. This is a no-brainer to me. It's a no-brainer. You bunt him over, get him to second base with one out, and then you try to get a base hit with somebody else. No. What does he do? He grounds into a double play. So that hit is annihilated already. This is the problem with this team. And I've seen it a lot, like J.D. Martinez grounding into double plays constantly. He's trying to do too much. He's swinging at such bad pitches that I've never seen him do before. like really bad. And, and again, it goes back to that manager. He's not pushing the right buttons to get these guys in. Yes, I agree with giving somebody, a day off, but if you need somebody to pinch hit, they need to come off the bench and do that.
Yeah.
That's their job.
But that's the manager making that decision, and I feel
right.
like
And he's making the bad decisions, and this is on top of a GM that has just brought in the wrong players.
He should have made more draft trade deadline moves, because I felt like you got players that you're clearly not going to keep that should have gone.
Yeah.
But I questioned the move, and we said it right from the beginning when they signed Alex Cora again, that this is more a PR stunt, again, by the ownership, because they wanted to make sure fans liked the manager that was going to be on the bench, and Cora was still had that aura of the World Series, and it's Alex Cora, and we love him. And I'm not saying he's a bad manager, but there was too many questions on how he won in the past.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it today that maybe he wasn't as good as they thought he was. Maybe it was more about what he was doing to win those games in the past.
This could have been such an easy fix. You don't keep Cora. You hire Jason Veritek as your manager. He's now been on that bench learning, and I think he'd be ready. And the fans would love it. The players would love it, because they know he's going to mean business.
Yeah, he's no nonsense, without a doubt. No, that
absolutely, that would have been the right decision.
Yeah.
And they missed the boat on this. They missed the boat.
Agreed. It's face-off time, and we're going to stick with this New England theme. But we're going to talk about Mac Jones. Did the Patriots make the right decision for New England's future by drafting him last season? One of us has to be for them drafting him. One of us has to be against it. You are first, so you get to pick this week.
All right, so I'm going to be for. That's a no-brainer for me.
Okay, because I'm against it, so good.
Yeah, so I know you're going to try to pick them apart,
I'm not going to pick them apart.
He had a great first season.
He did.
There is no reason why we should question the draft pick right now. And I don't care what you're looking at with Lawrence and all these other clowns that are in the league, Fields, and Lance. Look, at that pick, that was the right thing to do, because we needed a quarterback, and he was the best one available. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you could have moved up or anything like that, but from there, that was the guy. Okay. He comes in, he does exactly what we wanted, exactly what we expected, and more. Yeah. So now, coming into this, at this juncture right now, you cannot say that was not a good pick. You can't say. And it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do.
Okay. So,
and look, I'm just saying, you can't suggest, even if he has a bad year from here on out. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Yep. Okay. Who was his offensive coordinator last season?
Josh McDaniels. Okay. Yeah, but you can't blame this on him.
Who's the offensive coordinator of the New England Patriots this season? Exactly. They don't have one. And to me, if they were going to go this route or knew this was happening, and this is where I'm going to question the player, the New England Patriots offense is going to be so different than it ever has been in the past. And now you're trying to run that offense with a quarterback on a system that was built for a quarterback that just stood back, dropped back, and threw. A la Tom Brady. It's not going to work with Mac Jones.
So how does that?
An athletic quarterback that was going to be able to get. First of all, the offensive line is a mess. Secondly, you're going to be a run-heavy team now. And thirdly, I think that you need a quarterback that's more dynamic that can, when a play breaks down, because obviously this offense is not going to be what we need it to be.
So who were they going to draft instead of Mac Jones?
They should have traded up and probably got a defensive player or somebody
that's different. That's a different story. That's a different story. You're talking about trading up, which is a laugh in New England, but
yeah, exactly.
But I'm talking about that pick right then and there. Was that the right pick?
Yes.
That was the best choice.
That was the best choice. It's not the best team for the team now. It's not the best pick for the team now. Because
I
now it's
disagree
going to
with
affect
that.
them. It's going to affect them.
I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to do well, and I think they're going to come in second place in that division. And I think they might miss the playoffs
I got 'em in
because of the other
third
teams
place.
that caught up.
I got them in third place.
I'm not ready to put Miami ahead of them.
Miami's look at the talent they have. Miami. It's
I know
going to
they
be
have some
very tough
talent.
for them not to win, even with Tua. It's going to be very tough for Miami not to win.
Yeah, we'll see.
Third, Manny agrees with me. Thank you, Manny. Although Manny's picks, when we look at predictions,
I haven't
not so
looked
high.
at the predictions. So.
Yeah, we're tied, buddy. Don't worry. We're
Oh, wait, what? What
We're
was that?
tied.
I didn't
We're
wait.
tied.
I didn't hear that.
We're tied. We still got time. We got 17 weeks
Wow.
left.
In 2
17
weeks,
weeks
I
left.
just annihilated your
17 weeks left.
lead.
It can change in a minute.
5
And you know that.
gone in 2 weeks.
So my NHL guru, let's talk some hockey. And I don't know how the Golden Knights keep coming up every week. I think they want to make sure that maybe we're trying to get Bruce Cassidy knows that you want to still continue to talk about him because you miss him so much
Oh yeah.
already as the head coach of the Boston Bruins. And you said every week, let's do something. So Ron has to talk about us. But they've made a trade. The Sharks traded Nhl to the Golden Knights. Does this help the Knights at least get back to the playoffs? We talked
No.
We questioned it. They finished. They were one spot out.
No.
Why not?
No.
Why
Guys,
not?
he's not good enough. It's not good enough.
2.66 goals against, a 906 save percentage
Not good
last
enough.
season, 908 save percentage in his career. And he
Not
played
good enough.
with Arizona and San Jose, who are
Not
two of
good
the worst
enough.
teams in the league.
Not good enough.
Why not?
Because
don't
he's
understand.
first of all, he's not even proven. You know, you're getting spot play
He's
against
played what, 56 games?
56 games total, right?
Yeah.
And how many seasons?
2.
Right. So he's basically a part-time player, and he's playing against doormats, basically. That's what he's playing against. You know, he's not going to go up. He wasn't going to go up against teams like Colorado, Washington. They were going to put their number one goaltender in for that. And number one goaltender is not playing 23, 24 games in the season. That's not what the number one goaltender is for.
He's getting a shot now. Why wouldn't it be a
Yeah,
better?
he's getting a shot now.
It's an
but
improvement over what they had, no?
when you have that 906 save percentage, it's not good enough. It's not good enough to get you through the playoffs. It's not good enough.
You
It's
said
not.
on last week's show anything over a 9 is good.
No. I said
If you're under 9, you said they're not very good.
if they're under 9, they're terrible.
No, they're terrible. Oh, so there's degrees.
No,
to
they're
it.
terrible.
There's degrees. I got you.
Like
Okay.
if you're under 900 save percentage,
Yeah.
you probably are not in the NHL anymore.
Okay.
Period. You shouldn't be anyway.
So when do you become great?
920.
920. Oh boy. So he's got a ways to go.
920.
All right. So
Yeah.
you don't think this gets the Golden Knights back into playoffs?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Nope.
Pretty interesting.
And I think Vancouver's going to be one team that jumps over them.
All right. Let's see what happens.
And
Let's bring up
don't
the
be
next-
surprise for Anaheim.
Well, hey, they were competitive early last season, and then just kind of
They have some
they
talent
stuck
over there.
around. But what about the gentleman we're going to bring up? And Dallas Stars signed Jake Odinger.
Yep. Yeah.
3-year, $12 million deal. Good move for the team.
Yes.
I like this move, right? I think this kid earned his contract in the playoffs, Ron.
Yeah.
Even though they lost to Calgary, a 1.81 goals against, a 954 save percentage.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
Right?
He was
And
phenomenal.
you just think about it. If they could have got some score, how many of those games 1-0? And we think about the firepower Calgary had.
Yeah. Yeah, he
And-
completely shut the door on
Right?
Calgary.
Because the next
and-
series, Calgary and Edmonton, it was like every game was 5-6-5,
right.
7-5. Like it was just this kid was able to hold in a goal or two, if anything,
I
and
know.
Dallas just couldn't score.
Yeah, and so if Dallas can put the puck in the net this year, this kid is going to have a great year. And look, if he's going to play like that in the playoffs, if he can get you to the playoffs, which I think he will, I think he'll get. I think Dallas will get there. I think they're a pretty decent team. Actually, they have some good players on that team, and and anything can happen when you have a good goaltender. Anything can happen.
Could listen. Almost won them that series.
Yes.
They went to 7 games.
Yeah.
And clearly, Calgary had a much more talented team.
Absolutely.
So it'd be pretty interesting. If you enjoy NHL and you're watching right now, October 4th, 7 p.m., our NHL preview show. The season starts October 7th. So we always try to get ahead of it. So really excited about doing our NHL preview show. It'll be our 2nd annual. And then this Tuesday, NFL preview show, 7 p.m. Be ready. It's going to be, we break down all 32 teams, and we're going to give you two hot pick and rolls, our hot coaches, hot seat coaches. So who's most likely to get fired this season? And then we're also going to give you our top 5 quarterbacks in the league. We're each going to rank it. Kenny will join us for that show, so we're excited about that. Jared Goff's going to be on his list. Can't wait. So if you're a Jared Goff fan, you need to watch because he will talk him up to no end. Ron, it's pick and roll time. And you seem to think this was pretty easy. I thought it was a little more difficult, but we're going to rank these players who had the highest batting average after the age of 35 in Major League Baseball history. And these are some all-time greats. Ty Cobb, Tony Gwynn, Eddie Collins, Tris Speaker, Ted Williams, and Babe Ruth. All phenomenal baseball players. So we've got 6-1, 6 being the worst of this group, 1 being the best. You are first this week. Give the fans the wrong list, and then I will correct you.
This is definitely not going to be the wrong list. This is the right list. To my big surprise, I had Tony Gwynn at number 6. Tony Gwynn.
Wow.
Look, he's a great player. 7 Silver Sluggers, 15 All-Stars, 5 Gold Gloves, and 8 batting titles. Right? You would think, okay, he's going to be pretty high on the list. 3,141 hits. 338 batting average. That is phenomenal, especially the time that he played.
Right. Yeah.
1,300 plus runs, 1,100 RBIs. This guy did. He did it all for the team back then. But I'll tell you, there was another number I looked at, and that was the WAR number. And that was 69.2, the only player that had under 120 on the list. And, it's like I look at that, and as good as he was, he didn't really bring the team to,
Yeah, they didn't win championships.
Right. And I know that's a product of the rest of the team stinking for the most part. But you do have to put up all those numbers. And, I just don't think he had enough. And yes, he had more hits than Ted Williams and Babe Ruth, but he didn't put up the numbers that those two guys did.
Agreed.
And so therefore, Tony Gwynn,
number 6.
Number 5. From here and out, they're all top line players. Tris Speaker, I had number 5.
Wow.
And it was tough. 3,500 hits. Batting average was 345, which is incredible. 1,800 plus runs, 1,500 plus RBIs. I mean, this guy basically did it. The the rest of these guys all have incredible numbers.
Yeah,
Incredible numbers.
Without a doubt.
One MVP. I believe that's one batting average. My eyes are starting to go a little funky right now.
Yes.
3 championships.
He won 3 World Series championships. Yes.
So, but that's great numbers, and 3 championships goes a long way in my book. And that's why one of these players kind of like bucks the trend for me. Number 4, I have Eddie Collins.
We are going to have a much different list.
Yes, I know we're going to have a much different list.
Wow. Okay.
3,300 plus hits, 333 batting average, 1,800 runs, 1,299 RBIs. Again, 1 MVP, 6 championships, and I almost put this guy at number 2. Almost. And that's why I said 2, 3, and 4 were harder for me.
You missed the championships, but okay.
I know, but the numbers of the guys above him, too much.
Okay. All right.
And number 3, you're gonna probably fall on the floor. Ted Williams.
I figured
you're probably surprised. I think you have him.
You number 1.
Look, I think you have him at number 4. But look, 2,600 plus hits. It would have been a lot more if he didn't serve twice in the service.
Yes.
Went to the war twice while Boston Red Sox. 521 home runs.
Great.
In 7,700 at bats. That is absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. That is ridiculous. His batting average, 344. Who wouldn't want a guy that can hit 344 and hit over 500? Like, that is just, that's crazy to me.
It is.
Crazy.
It is.
1,798 runs, 1,839 RBIs. Those numbers are absolutely ridiculous. 2 MVPs, 2 Triple Crowns, 6 batting titles, 19 All-Stars, and that just touches the surface of what this guy can do. But he didn't win championships, so he barely squeaked out third. He barely squeaked out to third.
Wow.
Barely. Number 2, I had to put Ty Cobb.
What are you looking at? I can't. Go ahead.
4,189 hits.
Second all time,
exactly. 366 lifetime batting average.
Second. Okay.
2,700 runs scored. I think that's 27. It could be 22. I can't because I got this white in my eyes right now. 1,944 RBIs. And just so you know, he had the most stolen bases of all these guys with 897 stolen bases.
Very impressive.
On top of all of that. Okay, but he did have 11,440 at-bats. So he played a long time, but stayed productive. But I go back, it's a different age of pitchers back then. Now, I'm not saying they were bad, but they weren't good. But he was a great player. And great players know they can hit no matter what time period and no matter what pitcher. And he could do that. Now, he also got an MVP, a Triple Crown, and 12 batting titles. The only reason why he's number 2 is because he didn't win a championship. That's the only reason. If he would have had 1 championship, I probably would have put him number 1. But that left Babe Ruth. And when you hear his numbers, first of all, his WAR was 183.1, the best of all these players.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay, so his at bats were only 8,399 at bats, and the man hit 714 home runs. That's crazy. That is crazy. So he's basically hitting a home run just about 1 out of every 10 at bats, if that's somewhere around that area.
It's amazing.
10, 11 at bats.
Yep.
He had 2,873 hits to go along with that. So the man just was a hitting machine. And I bring the stolen bases up because he had 123.
Which is kind of crazy, right?
Which is crazy to think of his physique.
Right. Yes. Yes, agreed. I agree with that.
He was a portly fellow.
Yes, just a little.
And he still had 123 stolen bases, which is pretty good. It is more than Ted Williams.
Yeah.
Okay, so 714 home runs. His batting average was 342, only 2 points less than Ted Williams.
Mm-hmm.
That's sick.
Right.
Sick. 2,174 runs, 2,214 RBIs.
Yeah.
Those are ridiculous numbers. Those are ridiculous numbers. Nobody was putting up those numbers back when he played. No one. One MVP. I don't know how he only won one MVP.
Yeah, which I don't. They must not have voted. They voted differently back in the day because.
Yeah, they must have went to all the pitchers.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, the pitchers, when you had a good one, they were dominating.
Yeah.
7 championships. 7 championships. 7. None of those with the Boston Red Sox, by the way.
No, none.
None of those. Only 2 All-Stars. I don't think they had All-Star games.
I don't think they did. That's what I'm saying. Because none of these guys really have.
And he won a batting title. Okay, Now all of that is all great. That alone makes him the best player on the list.
I know where you're going, but go ahead.
But he was also a pitcher.
Yeah, and he won an ERA title. Yes.
And he won an ERA title.
Which is amazing.
So that on top of all of that hitting, it's not even close in my book. Not even close.
Okay.
Not even
all
close.
right. So now let me give you the correct list and clearly
it's not the correct list.
Explain to you why you're wrong. At number 6, Eddie Collins.
Oh, come on.
Had the worst batting average out of all of these players.
333. You can't even count
the worst,
that.
Which is the worst. Even at 3,315 hits, you said it, 47 home runs. I looked at it this way, too. He played 25 seasons. And what blew my mind more than anything else, 467 strikeouts in his career. In 25 seasons, Ron. He struck out 467 times. That's ridiculous.
That's like a season today's game.
Nowadays.
Now, just to let you know, he has a WAR of 124.4, which is higher than Ted Williams.
Okay. 1 MVP, 6 World Series champs, but again, worst batting average. At number 5, Tony Gwynn, and I debated 5-6 with him, just because. But in 20 seasons, Ron, 434 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So I gave him an edge because he struck out less than Eddie Collins. 338 batting average, though. Phenomenal. Ted Williams is my number 4. 344.
I told you you're going to have him there.
19 seasons, 709 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So, again, I held it. But, again, his numbers were great. 19 All-Stars. He played 19 seasons. He was an All-Star every year he played.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. At number 3, you sitting down? Babe Ruth.
Oh, come on.
342 batting average. So,
you know
again,
what?
Hold on.
Wait, before you go any further,
No.
New York Yankees should take away your stripes.
No.
They should take away your stripes.
No.
You are not a Yankee fan if you're
I'm gonna
putting him
explain
there.
it to you. I'm not
You're a Yankee fan.
I am a journalist who is a professional.
Journalist. You're a hack.
A professional.
Right now, everybody is laughing at you.
342. Yes, the hits. Yes, the home runs. Ron, 1,330 strikeouts.
I don't
He
care.
struck out twice as much as Ted Williams. Yes, he won his titles, but 22 seasons. Tris Speaker
I
is
can't.
number 2.
Oh my
First
God.
of all, better batting average than Babe Ruth, 345. Played the same amount of seasons, Ron.
It was 3 points higher.
On this list, he struck out the least of any player on this list at 393.
Babe Ruth has 600 more home runs.
And he also struck out 1,000 times more.
I don't care. The
1,000
production is
times more.
there. The production is there.
He struck out
Oh
1,000
my
times
God,
less.
that is
Are you talking about
laughable.
hits? 345. He won a batting title as well. So did Babe Ruth. They're even there.
Manny,
3
call
world
this guy
championships.
out. Call him out.
Called
Because
3
this is just terrible.
championships. And then how do you not go number 1 with Ty Cobb? The highest batting average at 366. The most hits at 4,189. 680 strikeouts, but 12 batting titles.
God.
The man had 12 batting titles. He
And
played
no
in 20
championships. None.
24 seasons. Half the seasons he played, he was the highest batting player in the league. Half. Who does that? Give me another player on this list that had that accomplishment. Tony Gwynn played 20 seasons, had 8.
Oh my God! So, look, this is your worst pick and roll you've
Absolutely
ever had.
not.
Absolutely,
I'm not
is.
judging. You want hits. I want hits. I want batting average. I want strikeouts.
You want
These are the top
production.
hitting guys in history.
You want production.
Okay.
When you look at those RBIs,
Would you
and
rather
those
strike out
runs,
1,000 times?
when you're going to produce over 4,000 runs for your career, 4,488 to
You
be
also
exact.
have a lower batting average and struck out more than the players.
It was 3 points lower. 3
It's
points,
still
which is
lower.
nothing.
It's still lower.
Nothing. It's
It's lower.
nothing.
By far.
And when
You
you
don't know
look
what
at
you're
those
talking about.
numbers for
Ty
Tris
Cobb has to
Speaker,
be number 1, first of all.
no. He has
The
never
man's
won a
second in hits
championship.
the whole time. He didn't
Never won a
produce
championship.
because he didn't
Babe
hit home
Ruth won
runs.
7 championships.
Oh, we lost your audio. We lost your audio because you're wrong. We got a buzz and we lost your audio. There we go. That's right. Yeah, because there you go. Because even Restream knows you were wrong.
This was clearly your worst pick and roll ever.
You still didn't explain why.
Your worst.
Because I'm not judging home runs.
No, you're disregarding the 4,488 runs that Babe Ruth was responsible for.
And you're disregarding the 4,189 hits that Ty Cobb. How many more hits did Ty Cobb have than Babe Ruth? 1,300.
Yeah. He also played a lot longer.
2 more seasons, 24, 22. 2 more seasons. He had 1,300 more hits.
Oh my God!
13
Look,
more,
you're absolutely wrong. Because production, you should be embarrassed. You're a Yankee
1,300
fan.
hits.
You should be embarrassed.
1,300 hits. 20 more points. Now, does 20 points in a batting average matter, or that doesn't matter to you either?
I don't think.
Points.
Well, for your point
time.
is you were like, oh, he's got a worse batting average than Ted Williams, which is 2 points, and then 3 points for Tris Speaker. So that is nothing. It's
Tris
nothing.
Speaker struck out 393 times, dude. You'll
it
never see
doesn't
that.
matter.
You'll never see that in 22 seasons. Of
It
course,
doesn't
it matters.
matter. Not when you put up those numbers.
It means he's getting on base every time.
And Babe Ruth wasn't. Babe Ruth wasn't getting on base. Oh, that's right. He wasn't getting on base. He was just rounding the bases. And
not as much as Ty Cobb, because Ty Cobb had more hits. But anyway, it's prediction time.
Look at the total bases.
Prediction
time. Go look at total bases.
Bring
it
it
up.
Then
you make your decision.
Bring it up. There's the chart. Yes, you're tied. Yep. We're tied. Oh, the world's coming apart. Manny is he got 2 wins last week, so he's moving up the chain. He got 1, now 2, this week 3, Manny. We're going for 3 this week. See if Manny can get 3 wins this week.
Manny's just on the floor laughing at your
Yeah.
pick and roll.
Okay. You go. You're a numbers guy, a championship guy. So I'm not.
Clearly. So your teams, if you were a GM in any league, your team would never win a championship. Never.
If they win, they win. If they don't, and I'm productive, I'm happy with that as well.
Yeah, you should be, right? Yeah.
Catching up, man. He's catching up. He says, I don't. Maybe he's looking at the list. But all right, Manny. I love it. All right. So we are starting. You are first this week, my friend. And we are going on September 2nd. The New York Yankees are at Tampa Bay, the Rays, for a 3-game series.
I am going to go Tampa Bay Rays. Look, I'm at the point now where I've yielded to the Tampa Bay making the playoffs, and I still don't understand how with that team, but they're going to do it because that's what they do. And I have no doubt they're going to win at least 2 of those games against New York in Tampa Bay, by the way.
So I believe the Yankees have flipped the calendar. It's a new month. They know they need to get hot before the playoffs. The New York Yankees are going to play inspired baseball this month in September. I'm going New York.
Yeah. This coming off of putting Babe Ruth number 3.
Yeah, okay, buddy. Manny, you got a pick here, buddy? All right. So on 9-4, we got the Chicago Sky at the Connecticut Sun. It's game 3 of the WNBA playoffs. The series is tied at 1-1. Connecticut won the first game. Chicago came back at home, made sure that they held ground. I feel like Connecticut knows they had missed an opportunity. They play very well at home. I'm going Connecticut Sun here.
I am also going to go the Sun for that reason, even though I still ultimately feel that they will not take the series. Okay. Is it a best of 7 or is it a best of 5?
5. Best of 5. The best of 7's in the finals, I believe. 9-4, Las Vegas Aces at the Seattle Storm. Again, game 3, series tied 1-1. What do you got?
I'm going to go Seattle Storm. Bird.
Sue Bird at home.
Yep.
I'm still a believer in the Aces. I still think Becky Hammonds is by far one of the best coaches in basketball. And again, they faltered game 1, won game 2. I think they're just going to go on a roll now. So Manny from Connecticut. Yep. So he's representing the CT. All right. 9-4. You got the Los Angeles Football Club at Salt Lake. MLS action. I am first, right, on this one?
Yep.
I am going Los Angeles Football Club. They've been so good this year. They're actually one of the best records in the league.
I am also going with LA Football Club. It's time to put your money where your mouth is, Salt Lake, because I don't think you're going to be able to keep up with the LA Football Club.
Plus, you're not. I mean, the Jazz are a mess. Somebody's got to win in Salt Lake.
Yeah, but they're not going to.
That might be their best chance. So we got some college football. College football has started. NCAA on 9-3. So tomorrow night, big game with the number 5. Manny got LA as well. Number 5, Notre Dame Fighting Irish at number 2, Ohio State Buckeyes. Very big game, top 5.
I think Notre Dame is a little overrated. I don't think they deserve that number 5 seed, and I think Ohio State is going to take that easily.
I completely agree. Ohio State looking at Heisman candidate with their quarterback, and I just feel like Notre Dame, look, new quarterback, Buckeyes have something to prove. I agree with you. I'm going Buckeyes here. 9-4 NASCAR, my friend, at Darlington. I don't. You said whatever that. What's the name of the race? Do you remember?
Not really,
but it's in Darlington. We have to pick a top 5 finish. I wouldn't live in Ohio though. Manny. And we want to thank him for his service. He's one of our servicemen. Maybe he went to Ohio at some point. So we are going to pick. Oh, you got it up here. Cookout Southern 500.
Yeah.
The Cookout Southern 500.
Is that a Big Brother thing? The Cookout?
Maybe. We have to pick a top 5 finish. I am going with Kevin Harvick, who out of the last 7 races has finished in the top 5 times.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Joey Logano.
Joey Logano.
I was actually going to pick Harvick, but, my boy Chastain let me down last week.
Yeah, 33rd.
Yeah.
That's all right. I didn't finish much better at 28.
Yeah.
NFL action is back. NFL kickoff this Thursday night, 9/8. Buffalo Bills at the Los Angeles Rams. Who do you got, Ron?
I like. Oh, I didn't even write it down on here. Because I was undecided.
It all counts now. Let the games begin.
Yeah. I'm. Oh man. That's a hard game. And it's not
Possible
like
Super Bowl
soccer. I
preview.
can't pick a tie,
This is a possible Super Bowl preview.
I know. I'm going to go with Buffalo. I think Buffalo is going to come out there and they're going to want to see if they can beat the Super Bowl champion. And I think being at home with I'm taking it's the ring ceremony.
Yes, it will be.
So I think they're going to be a little preoccupied with the rings. And I think Buffalo catches them.
Okay, I'm going Rams. And I'm going for the opposite reason. I think they've got something to prove. Everybody hears that the Bills are the team to beat this season. And the Rams are going to want to prove that they're still the defending champions. And it's still their trophy. And it still goes through them. And they're at home. So I'm going Rams. So we'll see how we finish. We should definitely have unbreak the tie, I would think.
Yeah, we have 4 things different. Plus including that NASCAR driver.
Yeah, the NASCAR. So it could be interesting. Ron, as we normally do, we end on our final thoughts. But before we do that, if you enjoy what you're watching, the tick has been going. You can follow us at so many different social media outlets: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, MeWe, Twitter, all of them. If you'd like to sponsor the show, at ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. You can sponsor our show for merely pennies a day, have thousands of eyes on your business globally, not just locally, globally. If you're on Southeast Connecticut, SEC TV, Public Access Channel 12. We are on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. It is a rebroadcast of our Friday show. If you enjoy what you're watching, check us out on Fridays on all those formats. Join us live as Manny did today. Manny, one of our best fans. Thank you so much every week for joining us, Manny, and contributing on the predictions. My man wants to make sure he gets some wins now. He needs some wins.
Yeah, because he's starting to go with what I pick, and that's going to help him a lot.
He's all over the place, but it's all right. All right. And clearly he understands that, I won the pick and roll, and then he went with more of my picks this week.
You do not.
He
didn't want to insult you. That's the problem.
Pick and let's just say he picked more of my team. So, Ron, we always finish off with our final thought or thoughts. You are first this week, my friend. Your final thought.
It's a new season where all the NFL teams are all tied in first place. So everybody's got their hopes and dreams and aspirations of winning the Super Bowl. So all of you that are in Carolina, Atlanta, New York, both teams.
Oh, boy. Here goes your Christmas
card. Just think you're in first place right now. So hold on to those dreams. Oh, boy. And you never know. You never know. What comes around could be a Christmas miracle for those of you that are in those cities. That Detroit, another one.
Oof.
Shall I go on with all
No,
these
that's okay.
bottom dwellers?
No, that's fine. We've just lost viewerships in all these areas.
No,
so
we didn't lose viewership. Are you kidding? Because they know that I'm right there with them, rooting them on, and getting those dreams fulfilled to bring home playoff football in those cities. So let's go, New York. Let's get you back in the playoffs. With whoever you have at quarterback. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You can make the playoffs. This is what we were all waiting for. A new start, fresh. Everybody is 0-0. And in some cases, another 0 with ties. But, you got a chance now. Let's see if you guys can take first place in week 1.
Good final point. Very good. And don't forget, every Sunday after the Patriots game, we do our Patriots post game here on Sports Unfolded. So we will continue to do that as well to bring you our Patriots as our local team, our thoughts on the game. My final thought, I actually have a couple, nothing crazy, but the first one I just wanted to mention, Albert Pujols hit his 694th home run in his career the other day. And the biggest stat that stood out to me, he is now the all-time leader as the player who's hit the most home runs off of different pitches. 450 different pitches in his career he's hit a home run off of, which is an MLB record. I thought that was a phenomenal stat because it just goes to show, A, longevity, but B, it wasn't like he just beat up on bad pitches his entire career. 450 different pitches weren't able to...
And he's never tested positive.
Right. And again, and I was going to say the steroid era and everything else that happened. So,
because he's never been even tied to any of it.
No. I mean,
so I give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
And I really respect him as a player.
Yeah. So I thought that was a great just stat to mention. And I also wanted to talk about something that came down the pike today. Actually got announced a couple hours before our show. And that's the NCAA finally deciding to go to a 16-team tournament for college football. They're trying to get it pushed for 2024. They're saying it's 2026. Make this happen in 2024. And to me, it just gives every team an opportunity. If you think about the Bengals last season, nobody gave them a shot. If there were only 4 teams in the playoffs, the Bengals wouldn't have been one of them. They got to the Super Bowl. 16 teams in the NCAA tournament for football gives every school an opportunity, not just these top-notch schools that continue to get in every year because they have the most talent. It's a one-game elimination. Anything can happen any given Saturday because it can't be Sunday most of the time. And I just think that they're getting it right, the NCAA, but don't wait 4 years to make this happen. I would try to get it done in 2024 and have some of these smaller schools that don't normally get into the playoffs an opportunity to get into a playoff and have an opportunity to win a championship. I think this is great for the NCAA. And I just wanted to mention that.
To go back to your baseball thing, we should also note that Aaron Judge is closing in
on the American League record with Roger Maris.
Yeah, and I'm far from a Yankee fan, but I do like Aaron Judge as a player, and again, another player that is just a large man, and he's doing it without any suspicion at all. And I truly hope that he goes on such a tear and he actually breaks the all-time record and take away the asterisks forever.
Yep. Agreed. Ron, it's been fun tonight. Clearly didn't agree on a lot. Clearly didn't agree. Well, again, you're wrong, every so often.
I'm not wrong.
Okay, it's fine.
I'm not wrong.
366 batting average, like just saying. But anyway, that don't matter.
714 home runs.
4,189 hits. Don't count.
44-88 runs scored and produced.
700 less strikeouts in 2 more seasons.
Yeah, that's okay. That doesn't mean anything to me.
That don't mean nothing.
You're making
Nothing
out. You're making out.
You just complain about all these guys striking out all the time.
No, because they're batting 220. When you're batting
And they're striking out
342,
500, 600 times in a season.
when you're batting 342 lifetime, I can take a strikeout.
Okay.
When you're batting 220, I can't take a
You're not going to bat 342 just striking out. You're hitting the ball all the time. But anyway, Ron, it's been a pleasure. This Tuesday, do not miss our NFL preview show. It's our second annual NFL preview show. All 32 teams. Kenny will join us for that show. That starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Rhode Island Broadcasting. Sports Unfolded NFL preview show this
and I will
Tuesday.
pick another Super Bowl winner.
Cannot wait. So excited for that show. Probably going to be about a three-hour show. We've got a lot to cover. All 32 teams we're going to break down. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Manny, thank you for joining us tonight. Ron, always a pleasure. Can't wait for Tuesday. You take care. Fans out there, all we ask for is peace.
Have a good night, everybody.